what were called perquisites, people would know it more so as perks of the job. And he could ask for various items after the coronation to add to his own collection. But before every coronation, there would be a legal sitting of a court, and the court would decide who got what. Here, as part of our exhibition, we've got an exact replica of George IV's coronation costume. So this was all actually made of gold and silver thread, so very, very expensive. His actual outfit was sold, and it went to various people, but some parts of it went to Madame Tussauds.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
God, we must go look at it. And the Willoughby family, this is their family home, isn't it?
Yes.
So Grimsthorpe Castle.
Yes.
And it was gifted to them by
It was
Henry
gifted
VIII.
to them by Henry VIII. So in 1516, Henry was at that time married to Catherine of Aragon, and her favourite Spanish lady-in-waiting who came over from Spain with her was Maria de Salinas, and she married William Willoughby de Eresby, who was the 11th Lord Willoughby, and Henry was delighted and gifted the lands at Grimsthorpe to the Willoughbys.
So Lady Jane lives here now, and she was a maid of honour to the Queen at the coronation.
That's right, yes.
And this is her family home.
Yes.
And you're writing her memoirs from the day, aren't you?
Yes,
So
yes.
can you tell me a little bit about what she said? What kind of memories does she have?
Yes, she remembers having to get up very early in the morning. They'd had a series of rehearsals, mainly without the Queen. I think the very last rehearsal on the day before the Queen did come to. So they helped the Queen with her long train, and this was basically their role, was to manoeuvre this really quite heavy costume round the place as the Queen moved, and for this there were little loops made underneath the train to help them to pull it around behind her.
Because they really had thought of everything.
Yes.
How did our Queen's coronation look different or similar to those before?
After George IV's coronation, and his was very expensive and flamboyant, there was a big move to create coronations which didn't cost as much and was seen not to cost as much. So William IV didn't really want much of a coronation at all. He had to be persuaded into it. And Victoria was very aware of the expense that George IV had gone to. So it was quite a different scene in that the procession became more of a public event, and the coronation itself, I think, was much smaller.
Can you at all estimate how much Charles's might cost?
Oh gosh.
Especially taking into consideration the kind of person he is. He's very engaged with things like the environment.
Yes.
So he would
yes.
probably have a more modest
Yes.
one, potentially.
Yes, I suspect that the central elements, including the key figures, will remain much the same, and I think it will be the wider audience will be quite a different audience to those in days gone by.
Yeah, because the guests must be so different, because rather than it kind of being family lineages that would have got you an invite,
Yes.
people like David Beckham
Yes.
might go, because
Yes,
he's gone to
absolutely.
royal weddings.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely true. I think they will call in all sorts of people who do a service for the public in general, of course politicians and people engaged in public life, and I think also a wide number of people from all over the world.
So what would William's role be at his dad's coronation?
I'm sure he'll have a very prominent role. I'm not quite sure what form it will take, but I think he will certainly be there as a very evident and visible next in line to the throne. I think it's very important to be seeing the next generation and the generation beyond that, so that you can see what's coming her head.
So I told our community that I was meeting with you today and asked them if they had any questions for you. So I have some here.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Fire away.
Melissa Worth has asked how long the coronation ceremonies last.
There are basically 5 separate parts to the coronation, very important parts, and once those are fitted together with whatever music is going on, I think they can be quite lengthy affairs, probably a couple of hours at least.
So Avid Gardner wants
Yes.
to know whether a crown has ever fallen off a monarch's head during a coronation.
Not to my knowledge. I understand that the Queen did practice with the crown on her head in advance of the coronation, and she would tiptoe around the palace, sort of putting the children to bed with this enormous crown on her head, which I understand is quite heavy. So, but I don't know about it ever falling off as such.